A budget, bookkeeping, or both? Which is better? Which one should you be focusing on as a business owner? Which one will provide the best results? Well, stick around and you'll find out. But note, this is for people with goals only. If this is for you, hold on to your seat and enjoy the ride. Let's go. What is going on, family? It's your absolutely adorable favorite Uncle Cousin, Tyrone Gregory, and today I'm going to break down the differences between bookkeeping and a budget with the intention that hopefully you'll end up with at least one of them. But like I said in the beginning of this video, this is only for people with goals, financial goals. So if you don't have any financial goals, get some. On the other hand, if you don't want to and you're comfortable where you are financially, then you may not find any value in what I'm about to share in this video. So I'll give you a minute to exit. All right, since you're still watching, I guess it's safe to assume that you have some financial goals and you are ready to reach them. So let's get busy. The first thing I want to do in true Uncle Cousin fashion is to define the terms that we'll be talking about, starting with the budget. What is it? A budget is a lot of things. To some, it's a financial plan. To some, it's an estimate. To some, it's a spending plan, a financial tracker, etc. To me, it doesn't matter what you consider it to be. What's important about a budget is its purpose. That's it. You see, a budget is simply a tool to help you manage your finances. If you want to set a financial goal, a budget will help you manage that. If you want to set some financial boundaries or spending limits, a budget will help you manage that. Or if you simply wish to track and monitor your spending, a budget will help you manage that. Okay, so if a budget is a tool to help you manage your finances, then what's the purpose of bookkeeping? Well, bookkeeping is a process. It's the process of tracking and organizing your income and expenses. Therefore, the purpose of keeping your books is to help you identify where your money is coming from and where your money is going. And this is important to know because once you know and can identify the what, the where, and the how much, you can then use that information to make financial decisions. Decisions like, I spent over $240 for this subscription and I don't even use it. And so the decision becomes either I'm going to start using it or I'm going to cancel the subscription. And that's why we need a budget and a bookkeeping system, because it's those small monthly out of sight, out of mind transactions that keep us financially disabled. Think about it. If our financial spending is based solely on us going to the ATM and hoping we have money in the account and looking at the balance of the bank account, then that's what we're going to base our spending on. For instance, if we check our account balance and see that we have only $100 in our account, we like, cool, I got $100 to spend. Let's go. Whereas if we were to look at what created the balance, we would have more control and a better outcome of our spending. In the subscription example, if we were budgeting and bookkeeping, we would have known to cancel that subscription, and that $240 would have been added to our $100, and we would have had $340 when we checked. Better outcome. And honestly speaking, that's the beauty of using a budgeting tool and a bookkeeping system, because doing so will give you complete control over your finances. Okay. So let's focus back on budgeting for a moment. Remember, that a budget is simply a tool to help you manage your finances, whether you are trying to reach a specific goal or just looking to save some extra coins. A budget will help you do just that. So therefore, the next question to answer is, well, how do I develop a budget? Well, let me show you. But first, to do so, you will need to know a couple of things. The first thing you'll need to know is what your past financials were, as we're going to use them as a starting point for your budget, which means that if you don't have that information, get it. And the reason is that we want to minimize the guessing as much as possible. However, please note this: past performances do not guarantee future results, meaning that even though we are using past numbers as a starting point, things change. So we'll need to do a little planning and forecasting to ensure the budget is realistic and achievable. Which brings me to the next thing you'll need to know before you start to develop your budget. You'll need to know these two terms: fixed and variable. And the reason you'll want to know these two terms is because a budget is based on your spending, and your spending will be split into two categories: fixed and variable. So let me explain. Your fixed expenses are the expenses that are constant throughout the year. Their cost generally remains the same. And when you think about these type of expenses, think about your mortgage, your rent, your car note, your insurance, etc. Again, expenses that don't change often. And because they don't change often, they're easier to budget for because they're fixed. Whereas your variable expenses can change from month to month depending on the circumstances. Some example of variable expenses are your clothes, your vehicle maintenance, entertainment, your taxes, just to name a few. Okay, so now that we've gathered our past financials and we know what our fixed and variable expenses are, let me show you how to put it all together so you can develop a budget that is just right for you. But first, a word from our sponsor. Hey family, if you've started a business or you are looking to start a business, but you're stuck because you can't find the answer to the question, now what? Let me introduce you to the Self-Employed Business Academy, an online collection of business-driven videos that will teach you what you need to know about starting, operating, and growing your own successful, legitimate powerhouse of a business. With my help, you'll learn everything from how to start your business without being an LLC, how to pay yourself correctly and legally, and how to make sure that you are in compliance with all the rules, regulations, and taxes that apply to your business. Plus, on top of all that, you'll get access to bonus content like everyone's favorite, how to build business credit. So if you're serious about being an entrepreneur, you won't want to miss out on this. To get started, simply go to www.theselfemployedbusinessacademy.com and download your free copy of the Business Blueprint today. Now, before I show you how I do my budget, please note that I'm an Excel freak. I love doing things in Excel. However, I'm sure that with a quick Google search using the term budgeting tool or budgeting software, you will have a ton of options to choose from. But I just love doing things in Excel, so don't at me. What does at me really even mean? I just hear people saying that. I don't know. But whatever it is, just don't at me. All right, let me show you my business budget in Excel. All right, fam, and here we are inside of my business monthly budget. Full disclosure, got to give credit where credit is due. Good friend of mine, John Phillips of Create Simple Meal, is the one who actually gave me this as a family monthly budget to use personally. But of course, I took it, made a lot of changes, did a lot of tweaks to it to make it into my business monthly budget here. But when he originally gave it to me, useful tool, like I said, I just kind of took it and made some changes to it. But thank you to him for sharing this resource. And here I am sharing it with you. But let's go ahead and look at it, right? This here is the meat and potatoes of it all. But before I kind of get into this particularly, what I want to do is kind of look at the tabs at the bottom, okay? So what we'll see here is we have a business income tab, we'll have a categories list tab, and here we are again in the meat and potatoes of it all, the business monthly budget tab. I've added a fuel log to it, and then, you know, bank one and bank two to track everything there, right? Just because we want to make sure that when it comes to budgeting, we want to make sure we have an idea of all of our finances, right? So let me start over here at the business income section so we can see what this is. Now, actually, let me backtrack. All of these tabs here, all of these columns, right, all of these things are going to be added in once we put numbers into the others tab. But I want to kind of, again, go back and explain to you how these things work. First, with the business income. This is where all of my activities, income sources, right? The income from the self-employed tax company, the S Corp, my consulting fees, courses, and other income. Let's just say that is like affiliate marketing and things like that. All of the income from these activities are going to be entered here. And you can see I have it daily, right? From day one all the way through the end of the month, right? So it goes from the 1st to the 31st. And at the end of all the transactions, it gives me a grand total here at the end for all the activities. And you can see I even have a daily total down here at the bottom. But again, I said I'm an Excel freak, right? I like to geek out on things like that. If you are an Excel freak and you don't want to be this detailed and have it go from the 1st to the 31st, you can actually put the weeks in columns, like it'd be week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. You can do that. And I've done that in other places on the tabs just for visual purpose to show you how it was done. But again, all of the income is going to be entered here based on these activities. And here is where the budgeting part comes in at on the categories list tab. As you can see here on the left side, I have the actual title of everything. I have the advertising, transportation, insurance, labor fees for employees, legal and professional fees, my online services I pay for, TME, which stands for transportation, meals and entertainment, or travel, meals and entertainment, equipment, so forth and so on, right? But on this tab, this is where we actually going to set our budget. Okay, as we can see, column C here, this is the projected. This is where we're going to take our historical data of what we spent in the past. Well, I said you got to gather your past financials. We'll take our historical data and be like, okay, if I spent this much last year or last month or whatever, how much am I projecting that I'm going to spend this month or this quarter, or however you're setting your budget up, right? You want to be able to sit up here and say, this is the amount that I'm expecting to spend for this specified time period, right? That's the goal of this here. And so when we put that on here, like I said, I'm not going to fill in numbers yet, but I want to kind of explain it before I walk it through. So we put the projected amounts here, column C. But columns D through G, again, because I shortened it up, I have, this is the amount that I spent. This is the amount I spent in week 1, the amount I spent in week 2, the amount I spent in week 3, week 4, so on. Column H, well, once I've entered amounts in here, it's going to give me an actual total. So whatever I spent for the entire month will give me, it will total up here at the end. Now over here in column J, you'll see where it says not posted. In column L right here, you have total categories, categories that need to be evaluated, categories that are not posted, categories that are okay, and the ones that are outstanding. Again, let me explain how I got this set up. So every time I enter something here into the projected amount, it'll say this is how many categories have a projected amount. if the actual amount is either above or below the projected, depending on, again, this is something you can set, right? I've set mine to maybe like $5. If it's $5 above or below the projected, it's going to say I need to evaluate it. If it's not posted, right, like there's nothing there, it says I have not posted, right, because nothing has been posted there. If I'm in range, right, if I'm actually, when I put my projected numbers and my actual numbers is very close, if I'm in range, it's going to tell me I'm okay. And the outstanding says, hey, I have something here, but I have nothing inputted, so it's an outstanding bill. And that's how that works. And then once I start to input numbers here, it then carries over here to the actual budget tab. And this is where I'm going to get an actual bird's eye view of everything. I'll be able to see my total projected costs. Again, based on what I put here, this is what I projected, but then it summarizes it. This is the total of everything that I projected. This is the total of everything that I've actually spent right here in this column. And this is the difference. And this is where you can be like, you know what? I projected that I would only spend X amount of dollars, but I actually ended up spending this amount of dollars. Was I on point? Did I miss the mark? Did I go above? Did I come under? Do I need to make some adjustments? This is where this comes in here. And over here, we have my projected monthly income, because again, I'm estimating based on prior year numbers, how much I should be doing this month. So I can put this information here and it will then compare it to what I actually brought in. So this information here is going to feed from this tab. Okay. So that's going to go in here. When I compare my projected to my actuals, it's going to give me a difference. And that's how I'm going to be able to make financial decisions for my spending. And if I scroll down, you'll see all of the list, everything that's on the categories list here is actually here on this tab here. Okay, so that's what that is. And then over here in the fuel log, I do keep track of all my mileage, right? We can put my beginning mileage, but because it's something that we must do. I know there's a lot of apps out there and you can find it, but whatever you do, keep track. The reason I like to do this is because I can get my miles per gallon, which helps me understand my fuel cost. Not just tracking my miles for purposes, but I'm also projecting my actual fuel cost. And here in California, we getting close to, as of this video, almost $5 a gallon. So I for sure got to make sure I'm tracking my fuel costs. And if I'm doing a lot of driving for clients and things like that, I want to make sure that I include that cost in the price that I'm quoting to my clients, right? So yeah, want to make sure I do that. Then of course, keeping track of my banks, bank amounts and things like that. So let's go back and actually put some numbers in and see what happens. First thing I want to do is put in my projected monthly income. So let's just say for this month, I expect the self-employed tax company, I'm gonna say give me an even $10,000, right? That's going to be a projected number. Let's say the S Corp, let's say $1,500 for that one. Let's say I do one consulting. I don't sell any courses this particular month, so that'd be at zero. And other income, let's say I made $100 in affiliate commission, right? So I'm projecting that for this month, my income should be $11,950. So I'll start there. Now let's go over to our categories list and let me make some projections. Let's say this month I want to spend about maybe $750 in Google ads, right? Now we can see once I enter the 750 here, the numbers change. I have one category that has an entry to it. Then I have one category that nothing has been posted to. And I have something that's outstanding of $750 based on what I put in here, right? So let's see, Facebook ads is $750. Let's see, my insurance for this month is going to cost me $100. Let's say I hire a virtual assistant and I'm estimating the work that we got to do is going to be around maybe $500 or so. What else can I say? Let's do webinar, right? So let's say I have a webinar. My webinar software is this month going to cost me $95 to host the webinars, right? So let's just add some numbers in here. We can see what happens. Total categories that have projections is 4, right? We can see that right here. Then there's 4 that's not posted. And my outstanding bills is coming up to $1,445 based on what I put in here. And if I go back to the business budget, we can see it carried over here to the total projected cost. That's the amount that I'm thinking I'm going to be able to spend. And based on my projected costs and my projected income, this should be my balance. I should have a positive cash flow balance of $10,505. And that's the beauty of the budget. Like, okay, based on this, we should end up positive. So if we don't end up positive, now we get to kind of go back and see what happened. What did we spend too much? What did we spend too less? Right? That's the beauty of it. So let's kind of go back to, let's start at the actual income. So here I am. Let's just say I am in week 1. And the self-employed tax company on the 3rd brings in, let's just say for round numbers, $5,000, right? The S Corp, we are here in week 2. Let's say it brought in maybe $500. My consulting, I'm going to say also with week 2, it kicked off. That's when I brought in the one consulting. Let's put in another number. Let's kind of scroll. Let's not scroll. Let's say week 1, I actually did sell a course for $495. And in week 2, I had some affiliate income of $100, right? That's what we did. So now everything is here, and we scroll down to the very end. We see the totals right here. So let's see where these amounts carry to in the business monthly budget. Again, this is the meat and potatoes tab right here. So now you can see it carried over here to the actual. Now, off top, if I'm looking at this, if I'm paying attention to my numbers and I'm looking at my budget, I'm saying something is wrong. I projected $11,950, but I only so far have earned $6,445, right? So off a little bit. Well, let's take a look at our categories. Did we be on track for what we projected for our expenses? So I expected that I would spend $750 in Facebook ads. Well, let's say in week 1, I spent only $500. All right. Notice what happened. $750 was the projected amount. I spent $500. It says I need to evaluate. Notice how I turned it from not posted to evaluate, and category to evaluate turned to 1. Well, the reason that is because I'm off by $250. Okay, so let's say I spent $500 in week 1, but in week 3 I spent the other $250. Notice it went from evaluate to okay, because I'm in range, I'm good. But let's say if that wasn't $250, let's say if it was $200, would it still? It would say evaluate because I'm still off by $50. Remember, I said to swing and be the $5 above or $5 below. So if I was in, let's make this $245, I'm $5 in range, I'm okay. All right, but let's say if I went over $5, I'm still okay. But if I went over, I'm gonna say $260, well, I guess I'm okay still. Maybe I set my parameters a little higher than I thought I did. Let's say this is $500. Yeah, well, I've got to figure out what I forgot, what I set my parameters at. But you can see how it changes based on the amount. So I'm gonna put it back at $250 just so that one can be okay. Let's say my general business insurance, I paid it in the first week. It was $95, so I'm good. My virtual assistant, we ended up doing under budget, right? So she only charged me $495. I'm good. My webinar software actually came up to $150, right? So hey, I need to evaluate that, and I'm good to go. So out of everything that I posted, out of the 4 categories, 1 needs to be evaluated and 3 of them are okay. So now let's go over here to the business monthly budget, and we can see now, again, this being the meat and potatoes, this is the summary of all of our transactions. I projected that I would spend $1,445. I actually ended up spending $1,490. So I'm over, which is why it's red. I'm over by $45 here. And again, even though I put everything in these tabs here, it summarizes over here so I can see, okay, projected actual, no difference, good there. General business, it was projected $100, went down to 95. That's good. It went down, even though we know in real life nothing goes down, it always goes up. But humor me so we can see. Again, my virtual assistant, I projected 500, was $4.95, $5. But now what I'm able to do with this information, again, I'm over $55 here. There's a difference. So I got to figure out what happened. But all of this information just simply allows me to say, hey, why did I end up spending more or why did I end up spending less? And based on that, am I doing something wrong? Am I doing something right? If I have $5 less, right, I was under $5, could I move that maybe, because actually I was $5 savings here, $5 saving here, that's $10. Can I move that over here? Maybe I can now play around with the budget, still be in range, but now that $10 can go towards that $55 difference, and now I'm only $45 short or something like that. I mean, but that's the kind of decisions having a budget like this or something like this would allow you to make a decision for. And again, I projected, this is probably what's going to be the biggest thing here because I'm short from my projecting versus my actual. I'm short $5,550. What happened? That's the biggest thing to me about the purpose of having a budget, it being a tool, right, to say what happened. Why am I out of range? If I spend $750 on Google ads, did they not work? I'm sorry, Facebook ads, did they not work? Maybe I need to move to Google, right? Maybe I need to do some more networking events or something like that. I mean, if I spend $500 for a virtual assistant, is it worth it? Is our communication effective enough, right? Because something is happening. If I projected $11,000 of income and I only got $6,000, something is off somewhere. So now I can kind of take a look at that and be good, okay? And yeah, that's it. That's really the true purpose of a budget. And again, I'm an Excel geek, so I do mine in Excel, but feel free to search Google and find you something, or feel free to be Excel as well. All right, fam. So yeah. Enjoy. All right, family, there you have it. You now know how to set a budget up and more or less why it's important that you set a budget up for your business. And yes, even though we showed you how to do it in Excel, remember, a quick Google search, I'm sure, will, as we saw, bring in a ton of tools available. Even if you were to look on your phone for budgeting tools and apps, there's a ton of them out there. The most important thing is that you just set a budget so you can be financially aware what's going on with your money. And even though we talked about this for a business, I still highly encourage you to go ahead and set one up for your personal life as well. Same concept. Take a look at your past financials, right? Understand what the fixed ones are, understand what the variable ones are, and start planning and projecting. Do it for your personal life. Get that in order as well. Because if you think about it, you and your business are one. If you do well financially, your business does well financially, and vice versa. If your business is doing well, then you're going to do well, obviously, right? So you want to go ahead and make sure that you set that up. And I thank you for being here. You know the deal as always. Go ahead, if you found value in this content, please hit the subscribe button. Make sure to give it a thumbs up. Hit that bell notification because part 2 is coming up where we're going to dive into the actual bookkeeping side of things. So yeah, you definitely want to make sure that you're here. And know, as always, I love you and I will see you in the next one.